So, hello and welcome back to Ivanhoe in a week that legitimately feels like it flew by. I don't even know where the entire week went. I mean, I know yesterday part of the week was spent just wandering around in Escanaba, which was fun, but still not what I wanted to be doing with my day. I don't know what exactly I wanted to be doing with my day, but it was not pounding actual concrete. It's funny because walking 6 or 7 miles in the woods is tiring, but it's not as bad on your feet and knees because you're not on concrete the whole time. I don't like concrete. We were joking in World of Warcraft. I was joking with some friends last night about how I just wanted all roads to be dirt, and people were pointing out the drawbacks to that. And yeah, there are a lot of drawbacks to that, but it's nicer on human feet. So that's a positive? Question mark? Anyway, we're going to be doing our final chapter of Ivanhoe for this week. As always, if you would like to join me tomorrow night for my live stream, I think I'm going to be streaming Phasmo again because that was just so much fun and it's become my current obsession. I would like to stream some more World of Warcraft, but there's not a whole lot going on that I can currently do in World of Warcraft because I need more RAM for my computer. Every time I go to the new area, my computer completely crashes. It's like, nope. And then it just tells me out of RAM. And yeah, I'll fix that eventually. I probably should do it sooner rather than later because I feel like prices are just going to do nothing but go up. But I am still planning a road trip. Haven't got the dates and everything nailed down on it, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm planning on taking in some of the sites along the west coast of Lower Michigan, which is an area I haven't explored much, and then probably visiting a friend, and then coming back home, probably coming up the east coast of the lake, and that will be absolutely fantastic. That's the plan right now. Things can always change because it's life and things do always change. But right now, that's the plan. I'm thinking either it'll happen sometime between the end of September and the middle of October. Haven't nailed everything down yet. Still got everything up in the air, but that's my tentative plans for right now. As we jump back into Ivanhoe, our chapter quote at the start here, which I'm hoping makes more sense than the last one, is from The Hermit of St. Clement's Well. So we'll see if it makes any more sense than the last couple have as we jump back into Ivanhoe. And as I put my glasses into my mouth. When autumn nights were long and drear, and forest walks were dark and dim, how sweetly on the pilgrim's ear was wont to steal the hermit's hymn. Devotion borrows music's tone, and music took devotion's wing, and like the bird that hails the sun, they soar to heavens and soaring sing. And that is the Hermit of St. Clement's Well. Well, at least that made slightly more sense, if not in context. To get the context, let's jump back in and see what is going on and see if Wamba and Girth, if they manage to rescue Cedric, who, honestly, I'm fine with them just leaving. I think they might have Ivanhoe with them, though, so we'll just have to wait and see. As we jump back into chapter 20 of Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott. It was after 3 hours' good walking that the servants of Cedric, with their mysterious guide, arrived at a small opening in the forest, in the center of which grew an oak tree of enormous magnitude, throwing its twisted branches in every direction. Beneath this tree, 4 or 5 yeomen lay stretched out on the ground, while another, as sentinel, walked to and fro in the moonlight. Upon hearing the sound of feet approaching, the watch instantly gave the alarm, and the sleepers as quickly started up and bent their bows. 6 arrows placed on the string were pointed towards the quarter from which the travelers were approaching, when their guide, being recognized, was welcomed with every bit of respect and affection, and all signs and fears of a rough reception were at once allayed. "Where's the miller?" was his first question. "On the road towards Rotherham." "With how many?" said the leader, for that's what he seemed to be. "With 6 men, and good hope of booty if it pleases St. Nicholas." "Devoutly spoken," said Locksley. "And where is Allan a Dale?" "Walked up towards the Watling Street to watch for the Prior of Jorvaulx." "That was well thought out," said the captain. "And where is the friar?" "In his cell." "That's where I'll go," said Locksley. "Disperse, seek your companions, collect what force you can, for there is game afoot that must be hunted hard, and will turn to fight at bay. Meet me here at daybreak. And stay," he said, "I have forgotten what is the most necessary thing. 2 of you take the road quickly towards Torquilstone, the castle at Font-de-Boeuf. At a set of gallants who have been masquerading in such a guise as our own, they're carrying a band of prisoners. Watch them. For even if they reach the castle before we collect our force, our honor is concerned with punishing them, and we will do so. Keep a close watch, and dispatch one of your comrades, the lightest of foot, to bring the news of the yeomen thereabout." The men promised implicit obedience and departed with alacrity on their errands. In the meanwhile, their leader and his 2 companions, who now looked upon him with great respect and some fear, went on their way to the chapel at Copmanhurst. When they had reached the little moonlight glade, having in front the reverend through ruinous chapel and the rude hermitage, so well suited to ascetic devotion, Wamba turned and whispered, "If this be the habitation of a thief, it makes good the old proverb, 'The nearer the church, the farther from God.' And by my coxcomb," he said, "I think it be even so. Hearken but to the black sanctus which they are singing deep in the hermitage." In fact, the anchorite and his guest were performing at the full extent of their very powerful lungs an old drinking song, which went a bit like this: "Come trowel the brown bowl to me, bully boy, bully boy. Come trowel the brown boy to me. Ho, jolly Jenkin, I spy a knave in drinking. Come trowel the brown bowl to me." "Now that is not ill sung," said Wamba, who had thrown in a few of his own flourishes to help them out. "But who, in the saint's name, ever expected to have heard such a jolly chant coming from a hermit's cell at midnight?" "Marry, that should I," said Gurth, "for the jolly Kirk of Copmanhurst is a known man, kills half the deer that are stolen in this walk. Men say that the keeper has complained to his officials, and that he's going to be stripped of his cowl and cope altogether if he doesn't keep watch." While they were speaking, Locksley's hard and repeated knocks had finally disturbed the hermit and his guest. "By my beads," said the hermit, stopping short in a grand flourish, "here come more benighted guests. I would not for my cowl that they had found us in this goodly exercise. All men have their enemies, good Sir Sluggard, and there be those malignant enough to construe the hospitable refreshment which I have been offering to you, weary traveler, for the manner of the last 3 hours, as drunkenness and debauchery, vices alike alien to my profession, and also to my disposition." "Base kilometers," said the knight. "I would I had the chastening of these men. None the less, holy clerk, it is true that all have their enemies, and there be those in this very land whom I would rather speak to through the bars of my helmet than without it. Well, get your iron pot on your head then, friend sluggard, as quickly as your nature will permit, said the hermit. Will I remove these pewter flagons, whose late contents run strangely in my own head, and to drown the clatter, for in faith I feel a bit unsteady, strike into the tune which thou hear me sing. It's no matter the words, I barely know them myself. And with saying this, he struck up a thundering De Profundis Calamavi, under the cover of which he removed the apparatus of their banquet, while the knight, laughing and arming himself the entire time, assisted his host with his voice when he could stop laughing. "What in devil's matins are you doing right now?" said a voice from outside. "Heaven forgive you, sir traveler," said the hermit, whose own noise and maybe his nocturnal drinking prevented him from recognizing accents which should have been familiar to him. "Go along your way in the name of God and St. Dunstan, and don't disturb the devotions of me and my holy brother." "You idiot," came the voice from outside. "Open for Locksley." "Oh, everything's fine," said the hermit to his companion. "But who is he?" said the Black Knight. "It's important that I know." "Who is he?" said the hermit. "I tell you he's a friend." "But what friend?" said the knight. "For he may be friend to you, but not of me." "What friend?" said the hermit. "That now is one of the questions that is more easily asked than answered. What friend? Why, he is, now that I think a little, the very same honest keeper that I told you about a while ago." "Aye, as honest a keeper as you are a pious hermit," said the knight. "I don't doubt it. But undo the door to him before he beats it off its hinges." The dogs, in the meanwhile, which had made a dreadful baying at the commencement of the disturbance, seemed now to recognize the voice of the man who stood outside, for, completely changing in their manner, they scratched and whined at the door, as if begging to let him in. The hermit quickly unbolted the portal and admitted Locksley along with his companions. "Why, hermit?" was the yeoman's first question as soon as he saw the knight. "What companion do you have here?" "A brother of our order," said the friar, shaking his head. "We have been at our orisons all night." "He's a monk of the church militant, I think," said Locksley. "And there are more of them abroad. I tell you, friar, you must lay down the rosary and take up your quarterstaff. We're going to need every one of our merry men, whether he be clerk or layman." "But," said Locksley, taking a step aside, "are you crazy to give admittance to a knight that you don't know? Have you forgotten everything we're doing?" "Not know him," said the friar boldly. "I know him as well as the beggar knows his dish." "Okay, what's his name then?" said Locksley. "His name," said the hermit, "his name is Sir Anthony of Scabblestone. As if I would drink with a man I didn't know his name." "You've been drinking more than enough, friar," said Locksley, "and I fear talking more than enough as well." "Good yeoman," said the knight, coming forward, "don't be angry with my merry host. He did but afford me the hospitality which I would have compelled from him had he refused." "You compel?" said the friar. "Wait but till I have changed this gray gown for a green cassock, and if I make not a quarterstaff ring on your head, I am neither a true clerk nor a good woodsman." While he was saying this, he stripped off his gown and appeared in a close black buckram doublet and drawers, over which he speedily put on a cassock of green and hose of the same color. "I pray thee, trust my points," he said to Wamba, "and you can have a cup of sack for what you're doing." "Gramercy for thy sack," said Wamba. "But thinkest thou it is lawful for me to aid you to transform yourself from a holy hermit into a sinful forester?" "Oh, never fear," said the hermit. "I will confess the sins of my green cloak to my grey friar's flock, and all shall be forgiven again." "Well, amen," said Wamba. "A broadcloth penitent should have a sackcloth confessor, and your frock may absolve my motley doublet in the bargain." And saying this, he helped the friar with his assistance in tying the endless number of points, as the laces which attached the hose to the doublet were then called. While they did this, Locksley led the knight a little way apart and spoke to him. "Deny it not, Sir Knight. You are the one who decided the victory to the advantage of the English against the strangers on day 2 of the tournament, aren't you?" "And if your guess is truly good, yeoman," said the knight. "I should in that case hold you," said Locksley, "a friend to the weaker party." "Such is the duty of a true knight, at least," said the black champion, "and I would not willingly that there were reason to think anything else of me." "But for my purpose," said Locksley, "thou should be as well a good Englishman as a good knight. For that which I have to speak of concerns indeed the duty of every honest man, but most especially the true-born natives of England." "You can speak to no one," said the knight, "to whom England and the life of every Englishman could be dearer than you could to me." "I would like to believe you," said the woodsman, "for never has this country such need to be supported by those who love her. Hear me, then. I will tell you of an enterprise in which, if thou beest really what you seem, you can take part in. A band of villains, in the disguise of better men than themselves, have made themselves master of the person of a noble Englishman called Cedric the Saxon, together with his ward and his friend Athelstine of Coinsborough, and have taken them to a castle in this forest called Torkstone. I ask you, as a good knight and a good Englishman, will you help in their rescue?" "I am bound by my vow to do so," said the knight, "but I would willingly know who you are, who is asking my assistance on their behalf." "I'm a nameless man," said Locksley, "but I am the friend of my country and of my country's friends. With this account of me, you must for now remain satisfied, the more especially since you yourself desire to continue to be unknown. Believe, however, that my word when given is as good as if I wore gold spurs." "I willingly believe it," said the knight. "I have been accustomed to studying men's faces, and I can read in yours honesty and resolution. I will therefore ask you no more questions, but help you in setting at freedom these oppressed captives, which done, will have us parting better acquainted and knowing each other more." "So," said Wamba to Gurth, for the friar, being now fully equipped, and the jester, having approached to the other side of the hut, had heard the end of the conversation, "so we have gotten a new ally. I trust the valor of the knight will be truer metal than the religion of the hermit or the honesty of the yeoman, for this Locksley looks like a born deer stealer, and the priest looks like a lusty hypocrite." "Hold your tongue, Wamba," said Gurth. "It may be as you guess, but even if the devil were to rise and offer me his assistance to help set Cedric and the Lady Rowena free, I fear I should hardly have enough religion to refuse the foul fiend and tell him to get behind me." The friar was now completely dressed as a yeoman, with a sword and a buckler, a bow and a quiver, a strong parison over his shoulder as well. He left the cell at the head of the party, and, carefully locking the door, he put the key under the threshold. "Are you in good enough condition to do service, friar?" said Locksley, "or does the brown bull still run through your head?" "Not more than a draught of St. Dunstan's fountain will allay," said the priest. "Something there is of a whizzing in my brain, and an instability in my legs, but you will presently see both leave." And in saying this, he stopped to the stone basin, in which the waters of the fountain, as they fell, formed bubbles which danced in the moonlight, and took such a long drink as if he meant to drink the entire spring dry. "When did you drink as deep a draught of water before, holy clerk?" said the Black Knight. "Never. Not since my wine butt leaked and let its liquor out by an illegal vent," said the friar, "and so it had left me nothing to drink but my patron's bounty over there." And then, plunging his hands and his head into the fountain, he washed from them all marks of his midnight revels. Thus, sobered up and refreshed, the jolly priest twirled his heavy partisan around his head with 3 fingers, as if he had been balancing a reed, saying, "Where be these false ravishers who carry off wenches against their will? May the foul fiend fly off with me if I'm not man enough for a dozen of them." "Oh, really, clerk?" said the Black Knight. "Clerk? I'm not a clerk," said the transformed priest. "By St. George and the Dragon, I am no longer a shaveling. Then well my frock is on my back. When I am cased in my green cassock, I will drink, swear, and woo a lady with any blithe forester in West Riding." "Come on, Jack Priest," said Locksley, "and be silent. You are as noisy as an entire convent on Holy Eve, when the friar abbot has gone to bed. You too, tarry not, and do not speak of anything. I'm telling you, come. We must collect all of our forces, and I'm hoping it's enough, if we're to storm the castle of Reginald de Fondeboeuf." "What? It's Fondeboeuf," said the Black Knight, "who has stopped on the king's highway, the king's liege subjects? Is Fondeboeuf now a thief and oppressor?" "He's always been an oppressor," said Locksley. "And for thief," said the priest, "I doubt if ever he were even half as honest a man as many a thief that I know." "Move on, priest, and shut up," said the yeoman. "It were better that you lead the way to the place of rendezvous than say what should be left unsaid, both for decency and prudence's sake." And that is the end of chapter 20, with a good many of our forces combined. And, probably because they're written so much more sympathetically. But so far, I actually like the Black Knight. I definitely like Locksley. And I think even though the friar is going to irritate me at times, I think I like him too. So at least we now have some people that we can root for. Huzzah! I am liking this book. It is really weird in my head that it's just so very much the story of Robin Hood. And that's kind of cool. I still don't know who Ivanhoe is supposed to correspond to in all of this, though. It's going to be fun finding out. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed that, and I will see you guys back on Monday. Hit the thumbs up on your way out, and I'll see you then.